We've seen Tommy face a lot of obstacles, conflicts, challenges, betrayals. Can you discuss how these obstacles shape his character this season and the choices he makes in the final episode?
You should have killed me when you had the chance, Tommy.
I think that Gary Lennon has done an incredible job at kind of awakening the dormant ghost inside of Tommy, thinking steps ahead. Also, just like Ghost, Tommy starts to feel himself a little bit. He starts to become aware of his wins, and that's when he starts messing up. He gets Gennard's taking pictures of him. The cops are getting closer and getting more dirt on him. He makes a rift. He makes an inaccurate decision towards Miguel and underestimates Miguel. I think Tommy's underestimation of people could be his biggest fault right now, because I know he's underestimating Shanti, wonderfully played by Adrian Walker, and I think the dynamite star of this second season, Chris Lofton playing Gennard Samson. I think he second guesses them. So as many of these wins as he had, and Gary made Chicago go so tough and difficult that these wins were earned from Tommy. But he gets to this point, and then all of a sudden, boom, the carpet is snatched right from underneath his feet. So I mean, it's exciting. All of these episodes are so exciting. Gary weaves this yarn, but it leads to an Easter egg, and then that Easter egg leads to another yarn that leads, to another little breadcrumb that leads you here, and it all connects just to that, for that final season, our final image that Deon Taylor, I think, did so well going into Tommy's space, and it's just like, boom, cliffhanger. Where are we going from here? But it was great. I just love that finale.
Okay, so we'll get to that. We'll get to more of that. But before we get to there, right? Because I did get a chance to speak to Deon too about the finale, and he just gushed. He's so excited about fans watching the finale episode. But speaking of, let's unpack this just a little bit more. How do you feel? I mean, when you were reading the script and, obviously having acted out these scenes, how do you feel about some of the decisions Tommy made this season in his pursuit, of revenge and this long play of his to take over the Chicago drug scene? I mean, were you reading some of the plot moments and some of the, some of these pages like, wait, is he really going to do this? Did you question any of the creative decisions this season?
Gary Lennon, out of anybody I've ever worked with in this industry, and I've been doing it for 37 years, I question him less than anybody else. I know that he doesn't just weave a yarn. There's an ending. It's for a reason. And it's not just because he thinks it's right. It's because it's the best choice. He asks everybody. He had empowered all of us as actors, myself included, but all of the actors. I know Shane Harper and Chris Lofton, Isaac Keys, he allowed them to be in the moment and said, if something comes up, do it. He allowed these actors to trust their characters. And I think it just shows on screen. I think you can see how good a time we're having this season. It's kind of palpable. It kind of translates, even if it's a terrible situation. But I got to give so much credit as well to our wonderful directors. Let's go straight to we're talking about the finale, to Deon Taylor, who demanded more of him, always. He never would let it just be good. Two examples of that are when Kate is dying and I'm over her. He's like, I need to see what you're doing, and I need to see all of the history of you and your mother. I need to see what this means. I need to see why you're not picking her up. I need to see why you're not putting your hand over her mouth and killing her. I need to see all of that if I'm going to just stay on you. And Deon demanded it, and so I had to show up. And the other thing that I thought was great, again, J.P. Gibbs, played by Anthony Fleming III, has this wonderful gravitas and ownership of language. So when he said that you're not in this family anymore, I love that when Deon had this shut, and let's give some credit to our cinematographer, Jody Williams, who did an amazing job. He was the director of photography on every episode. That's why we had such a wonderful, consistent look. But when that glass shuts and it's saying, and Deon said here, he goes, I want you to think as fast as you can that if you could just get in there, you can change. You can have your family. I need to see that you want to go in, but you're choosing the street. I need to see that choice. And so he demanded this. And then Jody, when this glass came in, it was wonderful that it wasn't a solid door, because it says Now this is harder. You still have to look and see what's on the other side, but you can't get there. But you can see it, but you can't have it. And that's why Tommy Egan is, I think that people gravitate, because it's real. It's these conflicts that we all have. You don't get to win in that lifestyle. You don't get, it's not just flashy and guns and the drugs and the money. Yeah, sure, you get that some of the time. But what you have to live with is loneliness and loss and death. That's what you get.
You know, I love that you said that, because it sounds like definitely you have such a deep understanding of your character, and especially your character's evolution, right? And I'm wondering, how has your understanding of Tommy from the moment we met him, right, in the Power franchise, and I'm talking going back to the world of Ghosts, right? So from the moment we meet him early on in the Power franchise to where he ends in the Force season 2 finale, right? So how has your understanding of him evolved, and how has your understanding of Tommy, or how did it influence your performance in the finale?
Super interesting question. The answer may be a little bit not as exciting, but that is that I had a very good friend of mine say that you have to be, before we started the Power show, the first episode, the first anything, he goes, you have to be the same character on the first take of the first day of the first episode, and you have to be the same character on the last take of the last day of the last episode. Because if you change who that character is, the audience will turn on you and they won't even know why. So I came with Tommy Egan, and one of the greatest gifts I ever got was by the director Anthony Hemingway, who directed the pilot of the Power show and the second episode. But because Anthony said yes, every choice that I made, he said yes. So I was like, I believed in myself and I stuck to that character. Now what changed was they started writing different things for Tommy, but I made sure that it was that guy doing those choices. I knew who that guy was and what choices he'd made. Now within that world, as the world built up and we saw, because if you don't see it, it's not real. So if we saw it on screen, that's when Tommy can go to different places. Gary Lennon was brought in season 2 really to help develop the Tommy character in a big way, and he did. That he became the voice of Tommy. Now that we have Gary Lennon back, Tom, like I was saying, sometimes I felt like I was doing less work because I was doing less work. It was already on the page. It was built in. Tommy is equal parts me and equal parts Gary. So I'm so grateful to have him back. But it speaks for itself. Look at that second season. How much fun was every single episode? And it all was interconnected and it all made sense. And every single character was 3-dimensional. And that is, we get some of that credit and they get some of that credit.
That's true. That's what I've enjoyed watching about this season. We go into the lives of the folks around Tommy, right? And so that makes it that much more enjoyable. So on that note, without spoiling anything, can you tease any unexpected twists or turns that viewers can expect in the finale episode?
Oh boy, in the finale episode, I can tease that it sets up the future so perfect and not the way you would expect it to go. And man, people are close. The law is close. The loss is close for Tommy. And also, some people who you think are probably alive are probably dead. And some people who you think may be dead, maybe are not dead. And we got to see what happens in the future. I think that there will be a lot of characters that we've seen in this franchise maybe have to make a visit to the Great Lakes region.
Listen, that leads to my next question, because Gary just did an interview that I read the other day where he talks about, if the show's picked up for third season, what he would like to do, who he might bring back, and this, that, and the other. So if we're lucky, which, it's a hit, I can't see why it's not picked up for third season. If you come back, what would you like to see Tommy do next? I mean, can you give us a glimpse into what viewers what we can anticipate?
I would love to live deep within the psyche of Tommy Egan. I'd love to be right in Tommy's mind and Allow people to see what really makes him tick, not just the physical, but the cerebral. What is Tommy thinking? So I think that you can have these flashbacks in real time when you see Tommy hustling, or you see him instilling when you see him instilling kind of like these lessons that he's learned in his life, that he tried to teach Tariq, that he's teaching to D-Mac. I'd love to live here, but I would also love equal parts Tommy having, I love these visions. I love the flashback visions. I like when people are showing up as ghosts. I love that Lucy Walters showed back up as Holly Weaver. I would love more of those, but I'd also love to see, let's see who fits in for a reason. See, Gary Lennon doesn't frivolously throw characters back into our universe because it's a flash in the pan. Because ultimately, that's white sugar. That's not satiating. It's not real calories. But what he does do is when he brings characters back for a point and a reason and a real reason. I'd love to see somebody aged. I'd love to see somebody from Raising Kanan make an appearance aged up.
I'm untouchable now.
I wouldn't be getting so cocky I was you.
I'm done looking over my shoulder.
Go ahead, let your guard down. Claudia, you gotta be lucky every day of your life. I only gotta be lucky once.